difference between boxing out and clearing out. I know there's been some, if you watch, the term boxing out has been used kind of exclusively, and it hasn't been separated from clearing out when they're kind of two different things. So this video really kind of dives into that and hopefully helps with some clarity for young defensemen or people that are teaching the D zone to young defensemen. Just as there's different body types. You have your smaller defensemen that maybe can't move a bigger body out from that area. And then you've got players, most players can actually meet somebody on the perimeter and try to keep them out for a period of time before letting them in. So just kind of goes over some of those details and what it looks like for different body type defensemen, and how us as coaches can try to put together a bit of an individual plan that works around the player type, rather than just being really generic and asking all players of every body type to play net front the exact same way. So this has been released on YouTube a couple weeks ago. I wanted to put it up here on Coach's site for anybody that wants to have a look at it. Let the video play here, and what we see is there's that net front area. You see 4 in blue is going to the net front area, and right here that player in white is protecting that area. So he's boxing out, which is disallowing this player to actually enter that net front area, or the AKA box. But it seems really simple, but there's a lot of variables within it, and that one has highlighted just the stick play after the box out, which is really good, keeps body position. So that was a really good example of a box out. Where it gets a little bit complicated is how players are entering, when they're entering, and what that defenseman is actually doing. So here we've got Brendan Dillon in blue. We've got a New Jersey player the puck has went low to high, shot is coming through, and now we've got Dillon who's on the inside, which is good, and now he's in that box out position. The puck goes through and he just prohibits him from getting into that box area. This one's really good because now we get into kind of the details of it, the player type. So if you watch the different players that are doing this, you can see who's successful at it and who isn't. So here we're watching Jamie Oleksiak. This is probably the best example I've found of a continuous or a numerous contact point box out. So you can see, I think it's Stahl even, maybe he's trying to get into that net front area. There's the first box out, which a borderline penalty. That's why a little bit of this dogfight / box out has been taken out of the game, because of dives and players taking advantage of it. But in this one, he gets away with the first one, stays with his man, boxes him a second time, boxes him a third time, a fourth time. So he's basically done his job, even though the puck goes in the Dallas net, by him just taking his man and keeping him from the net front area. That's your traditional box out. So it's before that player gets in, you're just buying your goalie time by keeping that player on the outside of the goalie's sight lines. Oleksiak, what is he, 6'6", 240 pounds, something like that. And here's kind of the adverse of it. In this one, we can see we've got a Regina defender here and a Saskatoon attacker here. And we know that box out area, that net front area that they're trying to get into. What happens with this one is the Regina defenseman doesn't have focus on having a box out. He's just got his eyes up ice. He's puck focused, and he's not actually worried about that Saskatoon defender. So what happens is, by missing the box out, now he allows that defender to get in the goalie's eyes without keeping them out of there. And 100%, you can't always keep forwards out, because that's their job, is to fight to get inside. That box out is basically just a delay or a stall tactic. It's keeping that forward on the outside for that little bit of time in case the shot comes, so your goalie has sight lines and there's not a player there to bang a rebound in. But in this one, he allows him to get inside position, and here's where for me, there's a confusion on it. Once that player's established, once that player has inside position here between the defenseman and the goalie, now you're in a clear out situation, not a box out situation, because the player is in there. And a clear out is very different than a box out. A box out is delaying, stalling. A clear out is actually taking a player that's physically occupying territory and trying to move them out. watch this one happen. Now this defenseman's in a fronting situation because that Saskatoon forward has inside position, so that defenseman is forced to be in a front situation there. And this little clip is something that popped up on Spit and Chicklets. It was back in 2019, but it's always really resonated, and I like to share it when I'm doing presentations because it talks about just the discrepancy in size and strength and what players can actually box out, what players can actually clear out. So we'll let this play.
To be quick out there and use my speed to bring something different to the table
and not have to be overly physical.
And and that's what why I really appreciated having Trent Yanni as my coach. It was the perfect situation for me going to the minors as a smaller, skinnier defenseman, because I'd always have these coaches telling me to go in there, be physical, play tough, play mean. I'm like, I can do that, but it's like I'm not doing anything. Like the guy's,
he's
30 pounds heavier. I'm
wasting energy.
Wasting energy, and so he taught me and brought me aside after practice all the time and would show me about having a good stick and just being containing and good positioning, taking angles, your angles going back for pucks, and that I felt like that really helped me with a foundation.
I find that so valuable when you're working with players. Is what is the player type? Is the player somebody of physical stature who can actually move somebody or clear somebody out in front of the net, like you've seen Alexiak doing it? And then we go to the opposite player, Chris Russell. Again, been retired for a little bit now, but one of the leading shot blockers in NHL history because he was smaller, didn't have the body like Alexiak to clear and move guys and box out. So he just ended up fronting pucks, and that's why he turned into a shot blocker, is because he let the offensive or the attacking forward in between him and the goalie, and now it was his job to knock down pucks. So we see here we've got Miller in net front, who's already set up and established. His body is there, so now it's a clear out situation, not a box out situation, because he's there. We've got Russell, who comes in and tries clearing him. He's got his stick in the air, tries clearing. With his stick in the air, that allows Miller to make a play along the ice. So Russell in this situation really quite ineffective because he can't really move the player, he can't clear him, but because he's got his stick in the air, it allows Miller to make a play with the puck. So here's where we get into a little bit of the problems of why it sometimes isn't best to play D-side and try to clear players, and it's better to just front. In this one, we've got actually two forwards in front of the net. I think it's Gourde trying to move Stahl. Yanni Gourde's not a great big guy. Jordan Stahl, or Eric Stahl, I guess, in this situation. Eric's a little bit bigger, so we see Gourde trying to move him, but he's just got his stick in the air. He's just cross-checking on him. He does move him up ice a little bit, but Stahl gets the tip on that. So that's where fronting has kind of come into play. Are you really that effective standing behind somebody, just cross-checking them in the back? So, and when we look at that and we think about player types, a lot of times it's just the matchup. So in this one, I did a study on Adam Larsson. Kind of first started watching when he was in Edmonton, and then continued to watch while he was in Seattle. But he uses basically all four different net front techniques depending on the matchup and the scenario. So we talk about that traditional box out where a player is trying to get net front and the defenseman is just meeting him on that battle line and trying to keep him from getting inside position. So that's your initial box out. That Calgary player isn't going to just retreat in this situation. He's going to fight to get in. So after the initial box out, now he's going for stick tie up and trying to make sure that player doesn't get a rebound, because you can only box out for so long before you take a penalty or that player gets inside position. And then again, based on that relationship of who's bigger and stronger and how long can you actually hold somebody out. So there we see the traditional box out. One more look at it here. Player tries getting in, holds him to the outside, and then locks the stick, neutralizes the stick. So good play there. And now we've got a situation where Larsson, same player, has inside positioning, but he's up against Josh Anderson, who's a pretty big dude. So being able to actually clear Anderson is probably not going to work. So he's just now looking and made that decision on what's my next course of action, because the player has already established that territory. He's got position in front of the net. If I move him, am I going to get a penalty? If he's bigger and stronger than me, am I even going to have a chance at moving him? So look This one, he just holds D-side position, stick up, holds D-side position, and just keeps him kind of a little bit like a kind of a mini box out just to keep him from getting that inside position. So, and then the next play, Larson again, now we see him in a battle in front of the net with I think Simmons here, and he makes a decision that he's going to clear Simmons. So you can see Simmons has won that space, he's got goalie's eyes, he's net front, and now Larson enters into that dogfight where he's actually trying to move him out of the way. But if you think about that, just your matchups, if that's Duncan Keith or Chris Russell, can they move a Wayne Simmons, or are they better to just front that puck and try to have a high focus on getting a block and transitioning up ice? So there's three different things that Larson has done. He's done the box out, taken D-side, and now he's trying to clear out based on the scenario and the situation that he's in. So it's really tough to try to teach a defenseman to do one thing because there's too many variables in it. I truly believe that giving them the information on, hey, here's your four options in front of the net. If you can get it early, here's what you do. If that player's already established, here's your choices and whatnot. Kind of in that fashion, rather than saying just get that guy out of the goalie's eyes. And in this one, Larson again, and for whatever reason, whatever read he's made, whatever changes the coaches have made, I'm not sure of all the factors, but in this one, he's actually fronting, not trying to clear that player. He allows this Montreal player to stand there in the goalie's eyes, and he's not too concerned about him. So he hasn't boxed him, he hasn't cleared him. He's just looking for that shot block in front. He sees the puck come through, and now he's looking for sticks after that puck comes through. So various different techniques by the same player, so that makes it really, makes it clear that there's not just one way to do things. It's usually a read on what the scenario and the situation is. And just to finish it off, there's one more point here too, and it's always a balance of tying up the stick or using your stick to control the body. And this one, Dahlin is he's basically boxing out the Washington player off of the rush, but he elects to use his stick to box out or to control the body. And what that does is allow Sheary, whatever player you're trying to defend, it allows them to have their stick free and available and make plays with it. Doesn't turn into a goal in that one, but if you just think about that situation, what's the best play there? Is that to have that little mini box out and try to control the player from getting in, or is it better to control that stick so Sheary can't get a touch on that puck and make a play? So, and that's kind of where we're going to go with the next one, is just talking about D-side versus fronting, and we'll look at some players and some different scenarios where players are making the decision to front the puck or to try to stay in between that opposition's attacker and your own goalie, because you're seeing all kinds of different things. Traditionally, again, I'm pretty old, but back in my day, it was just clear out everything and stay between, always be closest to your goalie and try to keep that attacker from having inside position. So that's number one. I'm going to try to keep these fairly quick. I don't want to get into the 30 minutes or anything like that, but I know in order to get good detail, it's going to take probably 10 clips and 15 minutes or so in order to kind of get through a point on each module. So yeah, like I said, as I do have monetization on now, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you can. I'd really appreciate it just to see where this goes. So thanks again for taking the time